Coach. You've made some pretty impressive second half adjustments the last 2 weeks. Talk me through kind of what the conversation is in the locker room and what went into those adjustments.
Yeah, I wish I made the adjustments a little bit earlier in the game. It was some of the conversation, you know. No, they. I think really what it is, like in last week's game, they had a couple of weeks to prepare for us, and so there was some new stuff that they were throwing at us, which is what you do, especially when you're coming off of a bye week. And so, the biggest deal with these young men that we got to see versus Oklahoma State, we got to see it obviously versus Kansas State, is that there's no panic in them, and there was certainly a time frame there where some folks could have hit the panic button. We knew we couldn't let the thing get out of control from us because it'd be a tough climb back, and it was tough enough already. But I think, from a sideline standpoint and then being able to go in after the first half at halftime and really get on the board and explain it in, a more calm setting and stuff, they grasp it. They understand football. They've been through a lot now. They've got some notches under their belt, so to speak. There's some experience. We've gotten to see a lot of things, and they know how to make those adjustments now. And so, had we been in something like that earlier in the season, game one, game two, I don't know if we could have done some of those things. But now with the experience and stuff that they have underneath them, then we're able to go out and better execute.
How tough is it for you guys to make an adjustment when you're preparing for maybe one type of quarterback and then here comes a different type of quarterback coming out there? Does that play into it at all, Coach?
Oh, it certainly does, because sometimes you don't know a lot about the next quarterback and what you're going to get. And there's been a couple of quarterbacks over, when we went and we played KU and the quarterback goes down and the number two guy comes in, he drops dimes all over the place and stuff like that. And you kind of had, and we knew that this kid, I knew who the kid was and we knew what type of wheels that he had and stuff like that. So you knew that you were going to have to contend with that. Didn't know that his arm was going to be that strong. And so it starts to change a little bit of what you're doing. And then, the same thing happened with K-State. And, the quarterback comes in and not only can he run the ball, but he can throw the ball just as well. And so I don't know, to be honest with you, with the K-State deal, I don't know that it changed a lot of things from what Martinez was going to do as well. And, just what we were getting, I think they continue to carry their game plan that they had implemented for us, with the second string guy as well.
Overall, we're past the halfway point. What have you liked so far from the defense? What are some areas you want to see some growth in over the last 5 games?
Well, obviously, the thing that I like from the defense is just kind of what I've already hinted on. This is a team that loves football and they understand the game and stuff like that. But they got that experience under their belt, and now they're able to make those adjustments and not panicking in those tight situations. The thing that I want us to get better at, and they do too, and they know it, is we got to start compiling, getting close to a full 4 quarters. This is that time of season. Early in the season, you were just trying to get a good half out of it and then start trying to compile minutes on top of that. And now here we are going into game 8, and this is when you need to start really honing in close on a full 60 minutes. That's what it's going to take. Everybody's got the experience now, and across the conference, and so it's going to be full 60-minute games if you want to go and accomplish the things that you want to do.
Coach, the last few weeks we've seen a contribution coming from Nandy. He's got 7 tackles each of the last 2 games. What are your thoughts on how he's kind of stepped up?
That was a big get for us, and didn't understand it quite as much at the time. We do now, and what he brings to the table. Nandy is a very intelligent young man. He understands the integrity of our defense. He can play, honestly, about 3 or 4 possessions for us, and we wouldn't miss a beat. And so that's really where he becomes a big feather in your hat. And so you're building depth with that, and then he's getting some quality playing time right now, which is just helping him get better and better as each game comes around.
You got Bud Clark back from injury a couple weeks ago as well, which has to be helpful as well. What have you seen from him?
Well, he's made a couple big plays and that have been game-changing type plays. And so, he had the big interception versus Oklahoma State. He had the big interception the other night. Those are game changers for us. And so, Bud understands football. Bud, he's still dealing with the injury a little bit, but continues to improve day by day. And, you start talking about him, you start talking about Abe Kamara and Nandy and Mark Perry and all those guys back there. Getting some of that depth, which we're going to need, is going to pay off for us as this season continues.
What type of challenge? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, you talk about injuries. Is there a timeline for Bradford to return?
Yeah, Nook is getting better. And, we were hopeful and still kind of keeping fingers crossed that he's at least available for this week. And if so, that would kind of be one of those dire needs. And if we got into any issues. And then, outside of that, I think more realistically, we're looking at probably one more week.
You guys, it seems like you guys are going to be on the run to facing a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. West Virginia is obviously more of a traditional type. I guess what type of challenge is he going to be for you guys?
Well, he's going to execute the offense, and anytime that you face those dual threat quarterbacks, that presents a challenge for any defense. I don't care what defense you run, it presents a big challenge. And so, it's a little bit back to not basic football by any means, because he's surrounded by a bunch of great guys, but he's going to execute, what's being called for them. And so we feel, there's some aspects of it as a defensive guy that you sit there and you go, okay, I like this a little bit better right now. And then there's other aspects of it, though, that, the perfection that he has with it, you sit there and you go, maybe I'd rather have the other. So it's a toss-up either way.
Coach, last week against K-State, you guys had a big 4th-and-1 stop.
Mm-hmm.
How proud do you get in those moments when your defense is able to make a play like that?
Well, obviously at any moment you're going to get proud of something like that. That was a big time moment right there, and we sat there and we talked about it. Big players rise up in big games, and especially in big moments, and that's what they did as a defensive unit, and so we needed that stop. The thing is we know that we got to win the takeaway battle, and from a takeaway standpoint, it was kind of evened up in my eyes, because you count turnovers on downs, the same thing, and so in order for us to go win this game, we needed to get into the plus category, and that's what put us in that plus category. And so, from my standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, we had 3 takeaways, 2 takeaways and a turnover on downs, all in the second half. That's the difference in the game.
Coach, it seems like in every game this season, mostly the last 2, the defense, either a play or a drive, maybe they were a lot of points, they're just like, no more, and they just like lock up, right? It just seems like you get it, and then adjustments or whatever.
Yeah.
What does that say about your unit, and just how, I guess, what it takes to just make that transition where you just lock down?
Well, I think, sometimes and this is natural. I think a lot of teams do it, and we're kind of getting to the point where we need to get out of that, and that's where you're going to get more minutes out of them. Some of it is not always just about adjustment. Some of it's about execution of what you got in. Now, if we'll go out there and we'll execute it and it's not working, then now you got to start making your adjustments. And so I think some of the things that were happening to us, like in Oklahoma State, that were happening to us, in my opinion, it was more or less our execution, not us adjusting. And as the game went on, we had to continue to make some adjustments and stuff. But more or less, it was more about executing things. If we can do that and go out and execute it at a very fast pace right off the bat, then, and not try to do more than what you're coached to do, because I think we've kind of gotten in that point of we're trying to do more because we think we're playing an opponent that is extremely good, and I've got to do more than what I'm coached to do. No, you really got to go back and really hone in on what you do, and then everything else will take care of itself, and the plays will come to you. They're starting to learn that and understand that, and as we continue to grow, it should start to show itself.
Coach, in an odd stack front, sometimes it's tough to get pressure on a quarterback like you might want to. When you're facing a guy like JT Daniels this week, who is more of a pocket passer, does that present an opportunity to maybe do some creative things and bring pressure?
Yeah. I think there's going to have to be a lot of different things that we're going to have to do. And you sit there and you start comparing it to the last couple of weeks with a quarterback that, that can pull it down and hurt you with his feet real fast. You start to not get cautious, but you play some caution cards from time to time, because you don't want him banging his head off the goalpost from 80 out. And you know, we're going to have to get creative with these things. There's nothing that JT hasn't seen, and there's nothing that that offensive line hasn't seen. And so we're just going to have to do a really good job of winning our one-on-one battles and create that pressure, make him feel the pressure in the pocket, and you know, get some batted balls and stuff. All right.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.